Hello, hello, hello. Um, yeah, so I guess we're live. This is very much a test stream. I'm trying out this desktop application um, as an alternative to. Oh, there we are. We're live. Oh no, I need to change the title here. Uh, uh, okay. All right, all right, all right. Now let me see if we are also live. Guess I can mute this. All right. All right, we're also live here. Look at that technology. When it works, it's wonderful, isn't it? First time trying out Multistream. Um, yeah, I guess it works, and I wasn't really planning on doing an actual stream, and you can tell by the fact that I have a bunch of unattended and undealt with laundry on behind me on my couch in my office. So this is purely a let's just see if this thing works, and it appears to be working. So now I don't know what to do. Um, I guess I can just mention that I'm planning on doing a stream tomorrow. So this is really tonight. I was just going to work on setting things up tomorrow so that I can stream both on YouTube and Twitch. Uh, do a multi-stream. And for tomorrow's stream, assuming that it actually does happen, um, I think we'll do more. I just realized something. Uh, eh, Never mind. I don't need to share that. Just something about my setup got that I noticed just changed. So, uh, let me see. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, Frisbee. So right now, I'm going through a series of. I'm doing a series of streams on Frisbee, and I think last time we went over the this particular tutorial, the guard clauses and enabling conditions. And the next one ahead will be this one, liveness and fairness. I think. Yeah, I don't think we've done this one. So this will be the next one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that on my next stream. Um, but yeah, so I'm glad that things work like they should. I even made a Discord. Obviously, it's completely empty right now, but at least I can uh, squat on the name at the very least. I think I need to figure out how to also. Um, well, I'm interested in finding out how I can do a multi-stream to Twitter. Princess of Dubai. Oh my! How did he manage that? Yeah, I know what's going on with this. Anyway, none of my business. I don't care. Uh, yeah, so at some point I want to figure out how to add Twitter as a multi-stream. I think last time I looked into it, um, it ended up being that I have to be a subscriber, as in, have an actual subscription, a Twitter subscription. Basically paying something per month so that you can live stream. I don't know if that's. I don't know. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but I think that's what I found out last time. So we'll see. If that's the case, I don't necessarily know that I will multi-stream to Twitter as well. But we'll find out. Uh, excuse me. Well, multi-stream works. I don't know. Maybe I can just do an impromptu. Um, I guess you can call it a reaction video to a tech related some tech related content. Okay, let's see. What does Theo have to say? Oh my gosh. Okay. Should I just realized I don't give a shit about this. Anything else? I don't know. Yeah, never mind. It was already not interesting to me. Um, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna look at some random code and then call it a night. Um, let's see. Oh shoot. Can I just move this here? Yeah. Okay. Um, just looking at some PL. Sometimes it's just interesting to look at random random PLs on open source projects. Just out of curiosity. Um, so this one's been approved. Okay. Thought I was already following him. Anyway, it wasn't used for anything no more. That does look obnoxious. I did this thing to clean up the code. We haven't needed retry page inner in probably at least 8 months. But it also makes practically every TCP query faster due to makes every set from user bench query faster, drops the count benchmark runtime by like half. Okay. So an instance of how deleting code makes your code better. Good. How do I close this tab? Okay. Okay, so last one here, shortest. Page contents. So you get the page. Then here you get the contents, and then you get it as a reference. And okay, so basically, to summarize it, you're basically getting rid of one level of interaction. Okay, the pager. Removing that. Init page. Page ref. I don't think there's much interesting happening here except for just removing some level of indirection. Results with page ref. Okay, so okay, so you remove that. That's one less wrapper, so to speak. Initialize a battery page. Mm, yeah, I don't think there's really much to sink some teeth into. Yeah. Okay. What else? Simulator. What's going on here? When it's failing. Oof. Okay. Is partnered with the following PR for async performance, which requires knowing the parent directory or the open file, so adding a path method is helpful. Okay, so it used to be that you just have the handle to the file and the memory IO. Now you're also keeping track of the path of the actual file. Okay, some generic file. But then they have to do it for every variant of IO that they have. Generic IOU ring. I actually I have a set of videos on my channel where I go over some of the source code of Terso. Used to be this repository used to be called Limbo, by the way, but they've officially renamed it to Terso because they are going all in on the whole rewriting SQLite in Rust. Uh, Probably make that bigger, yeah. Okay. Uh, okay, you ring. Okay. Wait, so. Oh, okay, yeah, the file is the trait. Okay. And you're implementing that for a Ewing file. Okay. All of these look straightforward. I think if I remember right, this is asking for the display rendering of the object that is being passed in. No, is it display or debug? Yeah, I can never keep track. It's one of those things you just kind of do it because it's muscle memory. Uh, okay. Module, okay, yeah, so yeah, the trait of the file. Mm-mm-mm. VFS. They have lots of IO variants. They have Unix, they have IOUing, they have memory, they have VFS. Do, 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 do. It's all about, yeah, everywhere now. They're all keeping track of the actual path to the file, to the database file. Yeah. It's crazy how somehow, sometimes just a simple change, a simple thing that you want to add, ends up having this like blast radius. Like, I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It's just, effect of an evolving code base where a small change, um, like even if it's not necessarily a behavioral change, just a structural change like this, right? Because so far we haven't seen anything that literally changes the behavior um, of things. That is, on the surface. So these are mostly structural changes. And, it's amazing how that just propagates all over. Um, yeah. Yep. Completely straightforward. Do, 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 do. Let's see, simulator. Using users to compute file offsets, caps, offset, 16 error. For example, excuse me, with 4 kilobytes pages, we can only address up to attempting the necessary overflow says it can wrap the right offset. Corrupting the other switching on APIs and offset maps to avoid this overflow. Okay. That seems reasonable. Yeah, another structural, mostly structural change that's just going to propagate all over. Yeah. Da, 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 da. Vacuum to vacuum page replication. Commit by commit. However, ergonomic in-memory I/O to run the simulator with. Okay. Have a more ergonomic in-memory I/O to run a simulator with and test more complex testing scenario. More granular control to inject force or objects. That's a lot of commits though. Yeah, I don't know, man. 800 changes. Hmm. Yeah, it's late. Let's just look at some hacker news to close out the evening. Again, this was mostly just um, a test stream to test out the multi-stream setup. Timeliness connecting to any server with a single API. Just take out hosting. Deploy agentic AI in minutes. Hmm. I mean, okay, what do they mean by privately hosted? If the other one hosting it for you. I, hmm. Wait, what was the tag net? Connect any LLM to any MCU with a single API. Isn't this just really an integration system for when it boils down to it? I mean, it's just another integration platform. I guess MCP makes it interesting somehow, and also, okay, MCP gateway, fully managed by us. Hmm. I'm confused. Are these? I mean, it says MCP linear, but are those the official? Um, are those officially written by the actual companies? It doesn't seem that way. Like MCP linear. It's not even anyway. Um, Notion. Is this by Notion or some person on the internet? Sounds like it's some person on the internet. Anyway, what does Hacker News think about this? Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what my experience just now. I mean, I guess they're launched today, so Okay. AI adoption linked to 13% decline in jobs for you. Really? How did they make that study? The study revealed. Ay, ay, ay. The study revealed that workers between the ages of 22 and 25 have experienced a 13% relative decline in employment since 2022 in occupations most exposed to AI. Some examples of these highly exposed jobs include customer service representative, accountants, and software developers. According to the study, the findings help explain why national employment growth for young workers has been stagnant while overall employment remains robust. Hmm. Who did this study? Stanford. Okay. All right. Organizations are choosing to eliminate workers rather than amplify them with AI. Organizations systematically choosing inferior economic strategies because they rent extraction frameworks cannot conceptualize workers as productive assets to amplify. Good point. Every plumber, because of AI, I think this is a sensible thing to expect, mostly, right? Um, the idea that every plumber with more than 10 years of experience who own their own company with low cost software running it. That makes sense. I can see that. Uh, Late stage capitalism. The real paperclip maximizers are the Silicon Valley and Wall Street bros we met along the way. Uh, da, 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 da. Believe that software engineering went from one of the least automatable jobs to a job that is universally agreed to be most exposed to automation. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. Yeah, I think this is probably more true than we realize. That AI is like a good cover now for layoffs. Yes, we'll see. We'll see how that pins out. Right? Like uh the idea that with AI you can do more with less people. In theory that's true. we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, eventually maybe. That's how I feel too. Right now, I see a lot more people wasting time with AI in search of these promised efficiencies. Yes, just one more, man. One more, one more agent stat MD file. Come on, man. One more, one more system prompt section or block. I don't know. I think there was a meme for that. AI uh, prompt agents.md. Uh, uh, no, none of these are fun. See, who said that this is true? An open standards? Oh my god! Why can't we just use readmes? It just serves as a predictable. There's nothing predictive about this. Come on, people. Oh, okay. A predictable structure location. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, man. I think this we have readmes for reasons. We have readmes. We have contributing that MD. We have architecture that MD. Um, what else? Yeah, I think between those three, like, why can't we just reuse that rather than inventing a whole new thing? Reduce noise in the README. Oh, maybe people are just too lazy to write really good READMEs. I mean, you can write a really good READMEs that your agents are gonna use just fine. Yeah. Needless to say, I don't get it. I don't get why we need an agent well, I see the appeal. I just don't think it's needed. Anyway, back to the article. A lot of companies reducing headcounts are simply hiding the fact that they are deprioritizing projects or reducing their overall scope because the economy is shit. Uh, uh, da, 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 da. Okay. Identity AI. Hmm. Oh, it's uh, gosh, I feel like I always forget how to say her name. I don't want to butcher it, but yeah, she's one of the main ICs contributors on the well, not just contributor. She's one of the main developers or engineers on the DBOS project. It's a durable workflow engine thingy that runs on top of Postgres. Let's see, what is this about? Oh my god. I'm talking about this. Oh no. This is That's a long PR. Oh my god. Jesus. 7,000. That's that's a big PR. Anyway, agents library. Yeah. Next. Okay. Won't you consider model training costs? Yeah, why won't you? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that. As the model advances, they'll train less and less. Mm, no, no. That goes against everything that we've observed, which is, people are obsessed with the whole scaling laws of, you know, they just want to throw more compute at a problem and build this gigantic data centers so that they can do just that, which I think, I mean, yeah, okay, bigger data center, bigger compute means you can serve more people, but really, um, I think it's mostly, you know, mostly for training. Yeah, once you take training out of the picture, sure. Yeah, but the training is, I guess, the moat, right? It's why Zuckerberg is willing to pay a $1 billion contract to some researchers. He's not paying that for them to do inference. At least I don't. Like, that's my take on that. Like, he's paying top talent because of the research that goes into having high quality and high yield models. And I think Meta is obviously investing, well, planning to invest a lot of money in building out their own um, massive data centers. Um, what's his name? Elon is has built Colossus, and I think he's trying to build something even bigger. I think all of that is money spent to do as much training as possible. Yeah, And knowing that, and knowing how the Chat GPT, I mean the GPT-5 model uh, launch has gone, I mean, you really have to start asking yourself: Is this really the right avenue? Like, is this really how? Is this really the best way to do things? Because I mean, if I remember right, OpenAI were really, I mean, for several months before the release, if I recall, they were really hyped about releasing this model. Anyway, all right. Some thoughts on LLMs and software development. Oops. How long is it? Yeah, sure. Let's go back. Okay, I'm about to head away from looking after this site for a few weeks. As I contemplate some weeks away from the daily routine, I feel an urge to share some scattered thoughts about about the state of LLMs and AI. I've seen a few early surveys on the effect AI is having on software development. Is it really speeding folks up? Does it improve or wreck code quality? One of the big problems with these surveys is that they aren't taking into account how people are using the LLMs. Excuse me. From what I can tell, the vast majority of LLM usage is fancy autocomplete, often using Copilot. But those I know who get the most value from LLMs reckon that autocomplete isn't very useful, preferring approaches that allow the LLM to directly read and edit source code files to carry out tasks. My concern is that services that ignore the different workflows of using LLMs will produce data that's going to send people down the wrong paths. Okay, fair enough. Another complication is the varying capabilities of different models. Yeah. Uh, I'm often asked, what is the future of programming? Should people consider entering software development now? Yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is definitely yes. Now, the caveat here is that if you're already if you're already set on doing it and willing to put in the work to be really good at it to get paid for it, I think you should do it anyway. Like it, yeah. It's it's one of those things. It's like the just because there's a tool that enhances or makes things work faster or go faster, um, doesn't mean that it makes um, the actual craftsmanship of the thing, of the profession, obsolete, right? AI is just another tool. And yeah, basically the answer to the question is yes, you should definitely still, uh, still consider entering the software development field. Will LLMs eliminate the need for junior engineers? Um, I don't know about eliminate. Um, I mean, yeah, if we're just talking about somebody who just wants to build cookie cutter React.js, Nest.js tutorial type things that aren't really real world like money making legacy code and how to maintain like the usual just cookie cutter uh entry level tutorial things. If that's all you want to do, then yeah, then you probably won't make it. That's just the reality of it. um but if if you have interest in actual, you know the hard and interesting parts of software engineering, you'll be fine. It may just be a little harder uh, to get in, but you know, it is what it is. It's just only gonna get harder anyway. So my answer to all this question is I haven't focused. Furthermore, I think anyone who says they know what this future will be is talking from an up. He means ass. Uh, well, I'm not claiming to know, but I think software engineering as a craft is not just gonna disappear. That's what I think. And I mean, I've used Cloud Code uh, extensively, and I get it's definitely good at certain things, and but you really like, at least in my experience, you really have to um, you still have to have your hands at the steering wheel. Like if you actually wanted to do useful work, um, I think the way to put it is to say that so the promise of all these AI agents is that you you get to have a significant reduction in the mental load, to go from zero to, you know to something being built and real and useful and potentially worth money. Right, that's the promise. And the idea is that you can just be the strategist, the person who does the strategy, and the agent is the performer. Right? It's like being the manager of a football team. You don't have to actually step on the field and perform. You just sit on the sideline and tell the players to perform. You work out the strategy, and they have to go out there and perform, right? And so the promise is that every OpenAI or Anthropic, the thing that the marketing is that we have the Tom Brady that you need, that special quarterback that you've been missing. We have him, right? And for some amount of money, you can have him, and you'll win the Super Bowl. We promise, right? The problem is these agents. Well, there are two problems really. Uh, the agents are not reliable at scale, both in space and time. Um, like in time, meaning the longer they run, the more likely they are to uh, lose track of some context. And it doesn't matter how many times you repeat yourself to say, "Don't do this, don't do that," or there's an agent's MD file somewhere for you to always refer to and all that. Um, I mean, there are certain things you can do to reduce the effects of this, but ultimately, it doesn't matter how much steering you do. You can just feel it when it happens, where it's like, gosh. And people like to say, oh, well, it's just like, working with a junior developer, and, you just kind of have to accept the flaws and all that. Except the difference is with a junior developer, at least one that's uh, good and working on getting better, you don't necessarily you don't find yourself repeating the same set of instruction like multiple times in the span of a relatively short amount of time, right? So, and that becomes really frustrating, basically. Um, yeah, so that's one thing. Like they're not. I don't think that, at least in the current iteration, they just don't. Um, they're not reliable. Like the more work they have to do, the less reliable they are. The more work they have to do over a long period of time, the less reliable they are. Uh, and yeah, and so that makes them unreliable performers, right? Like they can have moments of, dare I say, brilliance where they are able to accomplish a thing that you feel like, wow, okay, yeah, this is great. I didn't have to go and do this myself, uh, and that's fine. Like that's great, but in terms of just being reliable and consistent at scale, in time and space, it's just not there. Like they're just not reliable in that way. And I think I even read something. What's his name? The guy who coined vibe coding, um, Andresh, I think Kapati. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Andresh, Andresh Kapathi. Um, it was earlier this year that I think he coined vibe coding. But yeah, he's had a series of follow up posts where he basically, in so many words, basically makes it clear that no, you can't just sit there and let the thing do whatever it wants. Like you really have to keep a leash on it, to the point that sometimes it's just borderline exhausting, and you're just better off doing the work yourself in the first place. So that's one big issue. The second big issue, I think, is that um, if you really are a software engineer and well, okay, I don't even know what that sentence mean, but I think you get the point. If you want to be a software engineer and you want to get better at, you know, the work or whatever, you can't just be a strategist. You have to be able to do some of the performing yourself, right? Or you have to be able to do it to a certain level of craftsmanship. And uh, and so I think it's problematic to expect to really fully buy into the idea that, you can just kind of think of things and AI will just make it happen for you, right? And I think some people use the word taste or, having deep expertise, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, I think you can't just expect to have a bunch of some sequence of words in English and expect the AI agents to just magically make that into, uh, to build out whatever it is that you have in mind. Uh, you really have to um, not, not let your own critical thinking and your ability to think through problems and solve problems and just that kinetic energy of just actually making stuff happen, basically being a performer, actually putting in a performance and doing things. Like, you don't want to let that go just because the marketing people from this, you know, AI companies are telling you that that's the future. Like, like if you're a software engineer right now, uh, just because you have these, you know, capable AI tools doesn't mean that you should stop. You shouldn't like learn how to use a debugger, for example, right? Um, or that you shouldn't learn about how pointers work. Like, at least have a general idea of how they work. Just kind of um, not necessarily simple things, but just things, being able to just sit down and actually do the work, right? Instead of just expecting to type a bunch of English words or say a bunch of words and expect things to just magically happen. And I think for me, those are the two things to watch out for. Uh, okay, so let's keep reading. And it says it will be some time before we have a decent idea of how to use them well, especially if they can significant improvements. Let me double check something really quick. Okay, I'm still live. Okay. 'Cause I saw a message somewhere in my. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's keep going. Where is it? Okay, what I suggest is that people experiment with them. At the least, read about what others are doing, but pay attention to the details of their workflows. Preferably experiment yourself and do share your experiences. I'm also asked, is AI a bubble? To which answer is, of course it's a bubble. All major technological advances have come with economic bubbles, from canals to railroads to the internet. We know that near 100% certainty that this bubble will pop, causing lots of investments to fizzle to nothing. However, what we don't know is when it will pop, and thus how big the bubble will have grown, generating some real value in the process before that happens. It could pop next month or not for a couple of years. We also know that when the bubble pops, many firms will go bust, but not all. When the dot-com bubble bursts, it killed pets.com, it killed Webvan, but it did not kill Amazon. I retired from public speaking a couple of years ago, but while I don't miss the stress of giving talks, I do miss hanging out with friends in the industry, so I'm looking forward to catching up with many of them at Go to Copenhagen. I've been involved with the Go to conference series from since 1990s. 1990s. Oh, since the 1990s. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Where is it? Okay. My former colleague Rebecca Paulsons, who has been saying for a long time that hallucinations aren't a bug of LLMs, they are a feature. Indeed, they are the feature. All an LLM does is produce hallucinations. It's just that we find some of them useful. Good point. One of the consequences of this is that we should always consider asking the LLM the same question more than once. Perhaps with some variation in the wording. Yeah, but this gets exhausting when you're actually trying to get real work, real shit done. You know? Yeah. Then we can compare answers. Indeed, perhaps, and it's not just that you have to do this, but it's like you have to do this repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over. It never stops. Like, yeah. I'm trying to find an example. Like, it's like having a junior engineer, an intern, that you have to show them how to install or how to use Git like every day. Every day you wake up, you go to the office, that intern at some point during the day will ask you, how do I use Git or how do I push something to a repo because they forgot. That may not be a great example, but it's kind of just that feeling that you will feel. It's kind of that, I think. Then we can compare answers. Indeed, perhaps ask the LLM to compare answers for us. The difference in the answers can be useful as the answers themselves. Certainly, if we ever ask a hallucination engine for a numeric answer, we should ask it for at least 3 times so we get some sense of variation. Yes, but that's if it's like a shiny new engine and you're just trying to poke around and find out kind of what you can expect. But as part of some actual like workflow where you have a process with an input and output and it's supposed to be reliable and effective and used as a core aspect of some business, as of something that provides some business value. This is not, yeah, this is problematic. Further, we shouldn't ask an LLM to calculate an answer then we can calculate deterministically. Oh, you will think that people keep this in mind. You will think so. I think there was a uh, a joke of a Node.js package. Is it Node.js or Python package where There is a is it a vibe sort? I think it's called. Oh no, vibe sort. Look at that. You can vibe sort. Screw all those sorting algorithms. All that research from decades and decades of people trying to optimize, in space and time for which sorting algorithm to use in which context. Screw all that. All you need is an open API, open AI API key, and don't want to think about how to sort an array. What are sorting algorithms? Just vibe sort. Who needs all that computer science when you can just vibe your way through it? Vibe is different. Oh no. Oh no. This is gonna be a thing, right? Vibe tune, right? Vibe tune. The possibilities are endless. Oh no. We're so cooked. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a joke, and it should stay a joke, but I don't know. I don't know anymore. Let me see. You're absolutely right. Yes. See, this is another example. It really personifies what I was just trying to explain. This whole idea of, I gave the example of the intern coming in every single day. And at some point during the day, you know that they're going to walk into your office or to your desk and say, hey, how do I use Git again? Right. And it's the same kind of feeling, right? It's like, oh, okay, you don't know how to use Git the first time. Okay, that's cool. This is a tool that you should learn, and you try to help them. And maybe for the first 3 days, they forget how to do certain things, or you show them, certain things. They have questions from the manual or whatever. But then on day 100, when they come back to you with basically the same questions, because for whatever reason they have the context window is ephemeral, uh, and they have to basically re-ask the same question about the same kind of use case, or in while they're trying to solve a particular problem using a particular tool, they basically forget how to use the tool properly, and obviously it's not working as expected, and now they have to come back and ask again. But then imagine that happening consistently without missing a bit, like consistently on a daily basis, always. And yeah, I mean, that would drive you crazy. Um, so I think it's the same like vibe that is being uh, uh, exemplified, or I guess personified, by this uh, meme here. Vibe coders are so cooked. You build the analytical before. AI made it possible to build your product without writing code, but under the surface, fragile system security gaps and scaling issues are waiting, and they tend to show up right when investors. Oh wow, Jesus! I mean, that's a good business idea. You know that there's going to be a lot of sloppy work out there. So why not be the one who supposedly offers a solution for that? Whether you actually do, it's well another matter altogether. who led me to some Schadenfreude when I hear about vibe coded apps going well, exactly as can be predicted. Oh, it's almost like software engineering is more about just coding a bunch of symbols. It's about systems thinking and all that stuff. All the boring actually thinking about the details. Nah, 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 nah. No, 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 no. That's just noise. We can vibe code all the things. Uh, Vibe plotted. Oh yeah, this. Oh man, OpenAI got roasted as they should for this graph here. This graph makes no freaking sense. Like it's like you gotta be kidding me. Like, how do you professionally put something like this out there? I mean, the theory is that this was rendered uh, by ChatGPT 5 itself. Uh, so that's one problem. But then the second problem is, how did you guys allow this to be publicized? Right? So either they know exactly how bad this is and they didn't care because, reasons, or literally somebody just vibe coded this and somehow didn't notice that this is, you know, this is screwed up. I mean, either variants or either possibilities are just bad. Oh my god. They believe in the air. That's a little too much. Vab reviews presentation. How can you mess this up? Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. This right here. Oh, whoever was in charge of putting this together, just I don't know. There's so many ways to comment on this, but the very scary part is that this was completely like un unnoticed. Like whoever was in charge of this presentation literally vibe coded it, and they just simply didn't have the awareness of just even realizing that that chart is wrong. Like that's scary, right? It's like you hear stories about young people today. Some young people, I hope there's a very small percentage of them who don't necessarily know how to read on a wall clock. The old ones. Well, old ones. I guess we call them old now. With the long and the short, I guess sticks, if you want to call them that. Uh, yeah, like some of them don't necessarily have a concept of how to properly read that. I mean, that's kind of scary. Uh, anyway, web production. Uh, all right. Let's see. Let's go back to the. No, right. Okay, there it is. The article. Oh my! It's already midnight. Jesus. All right. Let's power through this article and call it a night. It's okay to ask an LLM to generate code to calculate an answer. Other forms of engineering have to take into account the variability of the world. A structural engineer builds in tolerance for all the factors. I don't know if it's the same thing though. I guess I don't have the right sequence of words to really explain why I feel this way, but it just doesn't seem like it's the same thing. I remember being told early in my career that the unique characteristics of digital electronics was that there was no concept of tolerances. Process engineers consider that humans are executing tasks and will sometimes be forgetful or careless. Software engineering is unusual in that it works with domestic machines. Maybe LLMs mark the point where we join our engineering peers and want to know. I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know. I've often heard, with decent reason, an LLM compared to a junior colleague. But I found LLMs are quite happy to say all tests green. Yet when I run them, they are failures. If that was a junior engineer's behavior, how long will it take? Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's why it's another example of why I'm not really on board with the whole treat it or think of it as a junior engineer. Like, yeah. LLMs create a huge increase in the attack surface of software system. Yep. Simon Willison described the lethal trifecta for AI agents. An agent that combines access to your private data, exposure to untrusted content, and a way to externally communicate. That untrusted content can come in all sorts of ways. Ask it to read a web page, and an attacker can easily put instructions in a website in one PT white on white font to trick the gullible LM to obtain their private data. This is particularly serious when it comes to agents acting on a browser, read an attacker's web page, and it could trick the agent to go to your bank account in another tab. Yeah, I'm pretty sure well, I'm fairly confident that when you hire a junior engineer, this being an attack vector does not cross your mind. But with these LLMs, you almost have to now. Like, yeah. We don't attack us by transferring your balance to the kind attacker. Willison's view is that the entire concept of an agentic browser extension is fatally flawed and cannot be built safely. All right, we'll call it for tonight. I guess the overall theme of what we've gone over is AI is a tool. Figure out how to best use it for your particular use cases. You gotta keep a leash on it. Don't outsource your thinking, but also don't completely outsource your ability to perform. The the work, right? Don't know how to use a debugger? You can still learn how to use a debugger. Doesn't matter if, you know, there's an AI model that can, you know, self, that can do whatever they call it now, computer use or whatever, and open and control uh, a debugger console, right? You should still learn how to use a debugger, basically. Things like that. Like, still retain some ability to actually perform the actual work. And with that, I mean, that's how you build your own taste through experience, understanding, like being able to have the wisdom to understand uh, when to do certain things, or, being able to have a long term view as you're working towards a particular goal, and just, the work that has to be done to get there, and to do it well enough that by the time you get close to that goal, you don't end up having to redo uh, a big portion of the work that has been done, because you've been here before, basically, is the way to say it. Like, you've been there before, you've done that, you understand where things can go wrong, and you use that wisdom, that knowledge to, to steer the LLM. Like, yeah, um, yeah. I think that's the overall takeaway from the whole AI stuff that we've come across this evening. All right, have a good night. This was I'll say that we have this, our multi-stream setup works. So I'm glad with that, and yeah, well, I'll be back on Twitch going forward. Well, I'll be multi-streaming to YouTube and Twitch going forward. All right, have a good night.